Yo, what up, y'all? It's Kevin Kinckle from the Kevin Kinckle podcast. Monday night, actually it's Tuesday morning, 12:10. The football championship just went off. I'm pretty sure I stopped watching it halfway through the first quarter. Halftime, it was 38-7. The Cinderella story for TCU was wonderful, but Georgia was too much. I was talking to my dad about the game, and I was like, yo, it's hard to go undefeated the whole season. Like, Georgia was nice last year. They was undefeated this year. Like, there's no way. They proved me wrong. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. Congratulations, Georgia Bulldogs. They have a lot of players that are going to be in the league next year, just like they did last year. They repeated. They was talking about how hard it was to repeat, yada, yada. It was not hard for these guys. They did what they did, but hats off to them. Hats off to TCU on a good year. At least they made it to the championship, so that's the feat. Or no, that's a feat, not the feat. That's a feat. But let's get to this NFL last week of the regular season, y'all. This was so, you had some games that meant something, other games that didn't. I'm ready for the playoffs, which are coming up. We are going to get to the teams that are in the playoffs and who's playing who, but we are not going to talk about who we think is going to win yet. For this whole season, my Pop Dukes beat me out 132-129. I think he really was kind of leaning on his picks because I beat him 12-8 this week. It's not usually that far off. Like that, the most I'll beat him by 2, but it never was that serious. But yeah, I got him on this one. Like I said, I think he was a little bit leaning on the picks. Let's get into the game so y'all can see what happened this last week. And we'll talk about what's going to be going on in the playoffs coming forward. At the end of the week, I will get to you about the picks. If you guys want to email me, send in your picks. I will talk about them too. Basketball season's coming up. Another thing, if you guys want to email me, direct message me, or send me who you think is going to be in the All-Star game, that is something for the NBA that we will be talking about. Because you could vote online. So I'm going to be voting heavy. Whoever the media wants to put in, we have a say too as part of the media. I'm just joking right now, but in the future, I will be part of the media. So it's the fans' vote that counts, the media, and I think it may be the coaches. I'm not sure, but yeah, in the future, I'm going to get that medium plug in. But let's go to these games. Kansas City versus Vegas. Kansas City won, locked up the number 1 spot in the AFC. They finished the regular season 14-3. Vegas falls to 6-11. Vegas is done for the season. It's a wrap. It was all right. We're going to see what's going to happen with their quarterback, Derek Carr. Receivers, nice. They just got to figure out what they're going to do. We expected a little bit more of them. We didn't get to it, but let's keep it pushing. Then we had Tennessee at Jacksonville. Jacksonville won that game, of course. Trevor Lawrence. I was bigging him up all season. He was a good comeback player on the season. It looked like them boys was out of it. They were, I think, 3-7. Came back to win like 7 in a row. And they squeezed their way back into the playoffs. I wasn't really impressed with his game. I don't know if the lights were too bright. A win and you get in and you lose and you go home. But he's usually composed. I think he was a little rattled. The defense did step up. Had a major play at the end of the game, a pick 6. For those who don't know, a pick 6 is an interception that you run in for a touchdown. The defense capitalized on that. That put them into the playoffs. So Jacksonville is in the playoffs, but I'm going to tell you who they're going to be playing. But they finished the season 9-8. Tennessee finishes at 7-10, and they just missed the playoffs. The Steelers and the Browns, The Steelers won. They were hoping they were going to get in the playoffs. Things didn't happen the way that they wanted them to, and they were out of it. They moved to 9-8. The Browns moved to 7-10. They get a fresh start next year. The Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson and all his off-the-field issues was going on. So hopefully they can keep that behind him and he could press on and concentrate on football. He got that big contract that the Ravens, who we're talking about now, Jackson is trying to get. Lamar Jackson, the thing that I was saying with him in the beginning of the season, man, secured a bag in case you get hurt. And now he's hurt. So Cincinnati beat them. Cincinnati moves to 12-4. The Ravens fall to 10-7. But without Lamar Jackson, I don't know how good the Ravens are going to be. And they're going to need Lamar Jackson to win this playoff game. If he doesn't play, how much does this hurt his chances of getting the big contract? I was saying that he should have signed it, negotiated for that money, but he decided that he wanted to play and concentrate on football, and here we are. So, the Bengals beat the Ravens. Then we had the Vikings over the Bears. The Vikings was the number 2 seed. No, Vikings number 3 seed in the NFC. They moved to 13-4. The Bears dropped to 3-14. The Bills beat the Patriots, knocking the Patriots out of any playoff contention. The Bills moved to 13-3, number 2 in the AFC. The Texans could have lost to secure the number 1 draft pick. They won. I believe they went for a 2-point conversion at the end of the game, which got them the win, which gave the Bears a worse record than them. And the first round draft pick, Lovie Smith, the coach from the Houston Texans, was eventually fired the next day, basically for winning the game. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. They've out their money, and he might have messed the bag up a little bit by not getting the first draft pick. They're still going to get a nice draft pick, but the owners were not happy about that. Lovie is out of here. Next, we have the Dolphins versus the Jets. The Dolphins won. They moved to 9-8. They secured their spot in the playoffs, playing the Buffalo Bills in the first round. Ugh. That's going to be a tough game, especially if they don't have Tua. If they have their regular quarterback in there, they could get a victory. You got the cheetah, and then you got Waddle out there looking crazy. You got Mostert. It could get crazy, but I don't know. The Bills are just 2 seasons. They've been here before. They know what's going on. They know what to expect. That's kind of crazy. I said I wasn't going to be talking about the playoff games until later, but oh well. The Panthers versus Saints, no playoff implications there. The Panthers won. They ended up 7-10. The Saints ended up 7-10 too. Eagles versus the Giants. Eagles locked up the number 1 spot in the NFC with a win over the Giants, who rested all their players because they were happily in the playoffs and they didn't have any spot changes that could be made, whether it was won or lost. The Cowboys, on the other hand, who was supposed to be fighting for the first spot in the NFC East and the first spot in the whole division, lost miserably to Washington. Dak Prescott threw another pick 6. He's thrown about 8. He's going about 8 games with at least a pick. Dallas is 2 different teams. It depends on who you're going to get. I'm still not sleeping on them for the playoffs. We'll talk about that in a minute. Russell Wilson got on board with a win over the Chargers, who I'm sure they were resting their players for the playoffs too. The Broncos finished the season 5-12, underachieving with Russell Wilson at the helm. I wonder what they're going to do next year as far as he's concerned, as far as getting him some weapons, though, because he can't do it by himself. They fired the coach, so hopefully they get him some weapons over there. But right now, it's not really working. The Seattle Seahawks beat the Rams, and they notched themselves into the playoffs. They finished the season 9-8. The 49ers locked down the second place in the NFC. They beat the Cardinals. Cardinals coach got fired. They had a horrible year. I don't know what they're going to do with erratic Kyler Murray. I don't know what it's going to take a lot, somebody to humble him and put him in his place so he could chill out and run the offense like the coach wants him to instead of doing his own thing. But the 49ers won that. Tampa Bay versus Atlanta. Nobody was really planning for anything there. Tampa Bay was already in the playoffs. And Atlanta won that. Atlanta moved to 7-10. Tampa Bay moved to 8-9 for the year. And the last game, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers fell to the Detroit Lions. It's crazy because I've been talking about the Detroit Lions the whole year and how their record wasn't matching how good they were. They had a lot of close games versus some good teams, and then they started winning at the end. And I picked the Packers because of Aaron Rodgers instead of picking them, even though I've been rocking on them the whole year. And they proved me wrong. The Lions won. They knocked Green Bay out, but they didn't make it to the playoffs. So they did play the spoilers for Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. And they had a player, Green Bay had a player on their team, a defensive player who was a monster. But last game, when it, Green Bay versus Minnesota, it just seemed like he was just slamming people for no reason. I couldn't get it, but he definitely has some issues with as far as like a quick, hot-tempered gentleman. I believe one of the trainers came to give an assistance to one of the players, and he pushed the trainer out of the way. The refs immediately waved him for a flag, personal foul. They tried to resume the game, and the guys from New York had to call down, like, yo, he got to get out of here. So he messed that up for them. So the Packers lost. Lions, end of the season for both of them, and that was a wrap, man. Aaron Rodgers, maybe his last game in Lambeau, I don't know. It's looking like it. Now let's get to these playoffs. For the AFC, Kansas City is the number 1 rank. We have the Bills versus the Dolphins, the Bengals versus the Ravens, the Jags versus the Chargers. So we have the number 2 Buffalo Bills versus the number 7 Dolphins, the number 3 Cincinnati Bengals versus the number 6 Baltimore Ravens, the number 4 Jacksonville Jaguars versus the number 5 Chargers. Then in the NFC, we have the Eagles. Then we have the number 2 seeded 49ers versus the number 7 seeded Seahawks. Then we have the number 3 seeded Vikings versus the number 6 seeded Giants. And then we have the number 4 seeded Thomas Brady Bucks versus the number 5 seeded Cowboys. That's going to be the game of the week. I'm already letting y'all know that. I'm already letting y'all know how it's going to go down. So I'm looking forward to some good games with a lot more implications than we had this past week. And that's about it, man. Kevin Kinckle from the Kevin Kinckle podcast. This was the final NFL season roundup. Playoffs is next week, baby. Let's go. And they got game on Monday night for the playoffs. So that's what's up. We got 7 teams in the playoffs. 2 teams have byes. And seven teams in each division. 2 teams with byes. So we got games coming up. It's about to go down. No, not 12. 6. What am I talking about? I'm getting tired, y'all. I got a lot going on in my life, too, so I'm sorry if I'm a little off. That's no excuse, because whenever I get on here, I need to be given A1 quality material. I get it, y'all. But this is Kevin Kinckle from the Kevin Kinckle podcast, tapping out. I'm tired. I'll holler at y'all on the next one. The NFL final season wrap-up. Next up, we got the playoffs. This your boy, Kevin Kinckle, and I'm out. Peace.